the
Okay.
positioning piece is working.
Oh, now
So
you
we're
got
able
me
then
very...
to, yeah, so we're able to look at a whole bunch of different things that have been useful for us. One has been dwell time of pallets. So how long has it been sitting in that spot? We can look at the path the pallet takes through the facility. So that could be important from a productivity standpoint. Like, why are we moving it 10 times when we could only move it twice? It helps us find things that sometimes if a forklift driver moves something out of the way and they put it somewhere they're not supposed to, sometimes you misplace things, and this is a quick way for them to just look it up, and it'll highlight for them on their computer interface, like, here, this is where it is. So you're not spending time searching for product or for materials. And then we're also starting to dig into the asset utilization of the forklifts themselves. So what does good look like as far as utilization? How often are they carrying materials versus driving around without anything on their forks? Do we have too many operators on shift or not enough? We're starting to look at some of that info. But so given that, I mean, what kind of comes to mind for you?
So two things that may be completely unrelated or of value to you, Allison. But the first thing that comes to mind, I don't know what the I just don't understand what the personnel aspects of this. But the first thing that comes to mind is, can this be leveraged to use for people? One of the it's an interesting and maybe it's way off the mark. But the first thing that comes to my mind is that there's would be potentially a lot of value for us to certainly not in a Big Brother fashion, but to really map out people's time and where and the paths they take. The human resource or the value is huge. So that's one. Can we create some efficiency in how our people move through the facility? And then the one thing that we would be able to create some efficiency with, that we struggle with, and this doesn't have anything to do with it's not product related, but we have one of the issues we're struggling with now is just our lone worker program. We have a lot of cases where, from a safety or environmental perspective, we're required to have two operators, and if you had a means of keeping track of one person, that could be a real value from a lone worker process and save a lot of money at the same time. The other thing that we don't have this technology at all, but the other curiosity or the interest that I would have is in our spare parts program, because one of the difficulties we carry, for a company that's 300 or 400 people and a couple 100,000 square feet, we consume millions of dollars in spare parts for our very small facility, and understanding where those parts go and where they're stored and sort of the integrity around our critical and consumable spare parts program would have real value here. We have a fairly good controls in place, but they're not dynamic like you're sort of making a case for. So that would be another area where tracking those and creating some efficiency around that would potentially save us a lot of money.
Are the spare parts, are they expensive? I mean, are they considered a high value asset?
Yeah, they are and they aren't. I think we have two different challenges. We do have very expensive spare parts. The primary issue that I think we have is that we have a part that might have a considerable cost that's used for several different